3 hours after saying "I do," Emma was standing outside room 447 of the Grand Meridian Hotel, her wedding dress still on, champagne stain on the hem, holding her phone with trembling hands. What she was about to see through that cracked door would end her marriage before the night was over. It was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. June 14th, 2024. A Saturday afternoon wedding in Portland, Oregon. 200 guests. A ceremony by the waterfront. Everything perfect. Everything planned down to the last detail. Emma Richardson had dreamed of this day since she was a little girl, and 32 years later, it was finally happening. She was marrying Michael Hayes, the man she'd been with for 4 years, the man who proposed to her on a hiking trail overlooking the Columbia River Gorge, the man who cried when he saw her walk down the aisle. But sometimes the person you think you know better than anyone is the person hiding the biggest secret. And sometimes that secret doesn't stay hidden for long. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Emma met Michael in the spring of 2020, right before the world shut down. She was working as a dental hygienist at a practice in downtown Portland. He was a software engineer for a tech startup, one of those companies that promised to change the world with an app nobody really needed. They met at a coffee shop, not online, not through friends. Just two people reaching for the same blueberry muffin on a Tuesday morning. He smiled. She laughed. He offered to buy her a coffee to make up for the muffin situation. That coffee turned into 3 hours of conversation. 3 hours turned into a first date that weekend. A first date turned into 4 years of what Emma thought was a healthy, honest relationship. Michael was charming, not in an obvious way. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room or the most handsome, but he had this quiet confidence, this way of making you feel like you were the only person who mattered when he looked at you. He remembered little things, the way Emma liked her tea, the fact that she hated surprises but loved thoughtful gestures. He'd leave notes in her jacket pockets. He'd send her photos of dogs he saw on his lunch break because he knew she wanted to adopt one someday. He seemed perfect. But here's the thing about perfect. It's almost never real. Their relationship wasn't without struggles. During the pandemic, they were stuck in Emma's tiny one-bedroom apartment for months. They fought about stupid things. Who left dishes in the sink? Who forgot to take out the trash? Normal couple stuff. But they got through it. When things started opening back up, Michael's company went fully remote, and he started traveling for work more often. Seattle, San Francisco, sometimes Austin. He'd be gone for 3 or 4 days at a time. Emma didn't love it, but she trusted him. She had no reason not to. He always called, always texted, always sent pictures of whatever boring hotel room he was staying in. In late 2022, Michael proposed. It wasn't a big public thing. No flash mob, no hidden photographers, just the two of them on a trail they'd hiked a dozen times before. He got down on one knee at the overlook, pulled out a ring he'd been carrying in his backpack for 3 months, and asked her to marry him. She said yes before he even finished the question. The wedding planning took over a year. Emma wanted something elegant but not over the top. Michael didn't care much about the details. He just wanted to marry her, he said, so Emma handled most of it. The venue, the flowers, the caterer, the invitations. Michael showed up when he needed to, tasted the cake, approved the playlist, smiled in the engagement photos. Everything seemed fine. Everything seemed normal. June 14th was clear and bright. 72 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. Emma woke up at 6 in the morning in a hotel suite with her bridesmaids, her sister Jess, her best friend from college, Maria, her cousin Leah. They drank mimosas. They did each other's makeup. They laughed about old memories and cried about how fast time was moving. Emma's mom came in around 8. She handed Emma a small box. Inside was the pearl necklace Emma's grandmother had worn on her wedding day. Emma's hands shook as she put it on. This was really happening. She was getting married. The ceremony started at 4. Emma walked down the aisle to a string quartet playing a song Michael had picked out. She couldn't even tell you what song it was now. All she remembers is seeing him at the end of that aisle, hands folded in front of him, eyes wet with tears, smiling like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. They exchanged vows, traditional ones, nothing fancy. Michael's voice cracked when he said, "I do." Emma squeezed his hands to steady him. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife. They kissed. Everyone clapped. It was perfect. It was everything she wanted. The reception was at the same venue, just inside the event hall. Dinner was served at 6. Salmon or chicken? Emma barely ate. She was too busy making rounds, thanking guests, taking pictures, hugging relatives she hadn't seen in years. Michael was by her side most of the night, smiling, laughing, dancing with her during their first dance, dancing with his mom during the mother-son dance. He seemed happy. He seemed present. At around 8:30, the party was in full swing. The DJ was playing hits from the early 2000s. Emma's uncle was doing some kind of embarrassing robot dance. Her younger cousins were running around with glow sticks. Michael leaned over and whispered in her ear that he needed to step outside for a work call. Emma frowned. A work call? On their wedding night? He squeezed her hand and said it would only take 10 minutes. Something about a server issue, something urgent. Emma didn't love it, but she nodded. She knew his job could be demanding. She kissed his cheek and told him to hurry back. That was the last normal moment of her marriage. Michael didn't come back in 10 minutes, or 20, or 30. Emma tried to enjoy herself. She danced with her dad. She posed for more pictures, but she kept glancing at the door, waiting for Michael to walk back in. By 9:15, she was starting to worry. She pulled out her phone and texted him. "Everything okay? You've been gone a while." No response. She waited 5 more minutes, texted again. "Michael?" Nothing. At 9:30, Emma told her sister she was going to check on him. Jess offered to come with her, but Emma said no. She didn't want to make a scene. She just wanted to find her husband and make sure he was all right. She stepped outside the reception hall into the hotel lobby. It was quiet. A few guests milling around, a couple checking in at the front desk. No sign of Michael. She called him, straight to voicemail. Her stomach twisted. She walked toward the elevators, thinking maybe he went up to their honeymoon suite to take the call in private. The suite was on the 4th floor, room 423, but when she got off the elevator, she heard something. Voices, coming from down the hall. She followed the sound. It was coming from room 447. The door was cracked open, just slightly, enough to hear what was inside, and what she heard made her blood run cold. Michael's voice, laughing, not stressed, not on a work call, laughing, and then another voice, a woman's voice, light, playful, familiar. Emma's heart started pounding. She stepped closer, pushed the door open just a little more, and that's when she saw them. Michael, still in his tuxedo, sitting on the edge of the bed, and next to him, sitting way too close, was Lauren. Lauren, his co-worker, the one he'd mentioned a few times over the past year, the one he said was just a friend, the one he'd traveled with to Seattle, to San Francisco, to Austin. They weren't touching, not in that moment, but the way they were looking at each other, the way Lauren's hand rested on his knee, the way Michael was smiling at her like Emma wasn't waiting for him downstairs in a wedding dress. Emma felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. She didn't burst in. She didn't scream. She just stood there, frozen, staring through the crack in the door. And then Lauren said something that made Emma's stomach turn. "I still can't believe you actually went through with it." Michael laughed. That same easy laugh Emma had fallen in love with 4 years ago. "I told you I would. I gave her what she wanted. Now I can do what I want." Emma's hands went numb. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. She backed away from the door slowly, quietly, and walked back down the hall toward the elevator. Her vision was blurry. Her chest was tight. She got in the elevator, pressed the button for the lobby, and the second those doors closed, she started shaking. Emma didn't go back to the reception. She couldn't. She went to the hotel bar, sat in a corner booth, and ordered a glass of water. Her mind was racing. What did she just see? What did that mean? Michael and Lauren, in a room, alone, on their wedding night. I gave her what she wanted. Now I can do what I want. The words kept replaying in her head. She pulled out her phone and called Jess. Her sister picked up on the second ring, music blaring in the background. "Em, where are you? Are you okay?" Emma's voice was steady, too steady. "I need you to come to the bar, now. Don't tell anyone, just come." Jess arrived 3 minutes later, breathless, eyes wide with concern. "What happened? Where's Michael?" Emma told her everything, the missing half hour, the cracked door, the room, Lauren, the conversation. Jess's face went from confused to furious in about 5 seconds. "That son of a—" Emma cut her off. "I don't know what to do." Jess grabbed her hands. "You know exactly what to do. You go back up there and you confront him, right now." So that's what Emma did. She walked back to the 4th floor, Jess right behind her. This time she didn't hesitate. She pushed the door to room 447 wide open. Michael and Lauren jumped apart like teenagers caught by their parents. Michael's face went white. "Emma, don't." Emma's voice was calm, dangerously calm. "Don't say a word." Lauren stood up, grabbing her purse, eyes darting between Emma and Michael. "This isn't what it looks like." Emma laughed. It was a hollow, broken sound. "Really? Because it looks like my husband of 3 hours is in a hotel room with another woman on our wedding night." Michael stood up, hands raised like he was trying to calm a wild animal. "Emma, please, let me explain." "Explain what? That you've been cheating on me? That you married me today knowing you were with her? That you gave me what I wanted so you could do what you want?" Michael's face crumbled. He didn't deny it. He didn't say she misunderstood. He just stood there, silent, guilty. Lauren slipped past Emma and out the door without another word. Emma stared at her husband, the man she'd just promised forever to, the man who'd cried at the altar, the man who was a complete stranger. "I want a divorce." Michael's eyes went wide. "Emma, wait. We can talk about this. We can work through this." "There's nothing to work through, Michael. You made your choice. 3 hours into our marriage, you made your choice." She pulled off her wedding ring, the one she'd only been wearing for a few hours, and she set it on the dresser. Then she turned around and walked out of that room. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just walked. Emma went back downstairs to the reception. Jess wanted her to leave, to go home, to get out of there. But Emma said no. This was her wedding. She paid for it. She planned it. She wasn't going to let Michael ruin it completely. So she walked back into that reception hall, head high, and she danced. She danced with her dad. She danced with her friends. She danced with her cousins. And when people asked where Michael was, she smiled and said he wasn't feeling well, that he went upstairs to rest. No one questioned it. Why would they? It was her wedding day. Everything was supposed to be perfect. Around 11, the reception started winding down. Guests were leaving. The DJ was packing up. Emma's parents came over to hug her goodnight. Her mom asked if she wanted them to stay. Emma said no, she'd be fine. She just wanted to get some sleep. Once the hall was mostly empty, Emma walked back upstairs. Not to the honeymoon suite, to her sister's room. Jess was waiting for her with a bottle of wine and a box of tissues. Emma sat down on the bed, and that's when she finally let herself cry. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just quiet, tired tears. The kind that come when you realize something you believed in doesn't exist anymore. The next morning, Emma woke up at 6. She didn't feel sad, she didn't feel angry, she just felt done. She called a lawyer that Monday, filed for divorce by Wednesday. The whole thing took less than 6 months because Michael didn't fight it. He didn't try to win her back. He didn't beg for forgiveness. He just signed the papers and moved on. Emma found out later, through mutual friends, that Michael and Lauren had been seeing each other for over a year, that every work trip he said he had to take, every late night at the office, every time he said he was too tired to talk, he was with her. The wedding, the vows, the tears at the altar, it was all real for Emma, but for Michael it was just a show, a performance, something he did because it was expected, because it was easier than being honest. Emma never spoke to him again after that night. She blocked his number, deleted every photo, threw out everything that reminded her of him. Some people thought she was cold, that she should have tried to work it out, that everyone makes mistakes. But Emma knew the truth. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice, and she refused to spend the rest of her life with someone who chose someone else on the day they were supposed to choose her forever. It's been a year and a half since that night. Emma's doing okay. Better than okay, actually. She moved into a new apartment, a one-bedroom with big windows and a tiny balcony where she drinks her tea in the mornings. She adopted a dog, a rescue mutt named Charlie who snores and hogs the bed and makes her laugh every single day. She went to therapy for a while, worked through the betrayal, the grief, the feeling that she should have seen it coming. Her therapist told her something that stuck with her. You can't blame yourself for trusting someone who didn't deserve it. That's on them, not you. Emma doesn't think about Michael much anymore. When she does, it's not with anger or sadness. It's more like looking at a stranger, someone she used to know, someone who taught her a hard lesson about who to let into her life. She's not dating anyone right now. She's not looking. She's just focused on herself, on her job, on her friends, on Charlie, on building a life that's hers and no one else's. Her sister asks her sometimes if she regrets it. The wedding, the marriage, the 4 years before it. Emma always says no, because those 4 years taught her what she doesn't want, what she won't accept, what she deserves, and that's worth something. Looking back, Emma realizes the signs were always there, the late nights, the unexplained trips, the way Michael always seemed just a little distant, even when he was sitting right next to her. But love has a way of making you ignore things you don't want to see. It makes you hopeful. It makes you believe the best in people, even when they're showing you the worst. Emma doesn't blame herself anymore for not seeing it. She blames Michael for hiding it. There's a difference. She's learned that you can love someone with everything you have and still not be enough for them, not because you're lacking, but because they're looking for something you can't give them, something they might not even be able to name. And that's not your fault. That's theirs. Some people ask her if she believes in marriage anymore, if she thinks she'll ever try again. Emma says she doesn't know. Maybe, maybe not. But if she does, it'll be with someone who chooses her every single day. Not just on the wedding day, not just when it's easy, but every day. In the big moments and the small ones, in the fights and the makeups, in the boring Tuesday mornings and the chaotic Saturday nights. Someone who doesn't need to sneak off to a hotel room to feel alive. Someone who knows that love isn't about what you can get away with. It's about what you choose to protect. Emma's story isn't unique. It's heartbreaking, but it's not rare. Every year, thousands of people discover that the person they married isn't who they thought they were. That the love they believed in was one-sided. That the future they planned doesn't exist anymore. And every single one of those people has to make a choice. Stay and try to rebuild something that might be broken beyond repair, or leave and start over from scratch. Emma chose to leave, and she's never regretted it. Not once. Because she knows now that staying would have cost her something she couldn't afford to lose. Her self-respect, her peace, her ability to trust herself. And no relationship, no matter how much history it has, is worth that price. So tell me, what would you have done in Emma's place? Would you have confronted Michael right away, or would you have waited? Would you have ended the marriage that night, or would you have tried to work through it? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts. And if this story resonated with you, if it made you feel something or think about your own relationships, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes the stories that hurt the most are the ones that help us the most. If you want to hear more stories like this, stories about real people facing real heartbreak and real choices, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. Because these stories matter, your story matters. And sometimes just knowing you're not alone in what you're feeling can make all the difference. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. And remember, you deserve a love that doesn't make you question whether you're enough. You are. You always have been.